So, do you think that maybe Debbie Reynolds might have died from a broken heart? Stay tuned. So many of us recently read about and were saddened to hear that Carrie Fischer had died prematurely due to a heart attack. Just as tragic was the news of her 84-year-old mother, the famous Debbie Reynolds, dying the very next day. We've read stories like this before, where it certainly seems like one's death is related to the insurmountable grief that they were suffering. I started to look into this, and I was surprised to learn about the broken heart syndrome, also referred to as Stress Induced Cardio Myopathy. This syndrome is recognized by the American Heart Association, which for me certainly adds validity. Basically, stress-induced cardiomyopathy acts and feels and looks exactly like a regular heart attack. But typically, patients with the broken heart syndrome don't have blocked arteries, which is the most common reason for a heart attack. Death is rare, but it does happen, perhaps in the case of Debbie Reynolds. Experts aren't clear on the science behind this, but it's thought that stress hormones, such as adrenaline, can actually stun the heart into abnormal activity. But what about the emotional or spiritual aspect associated with one's death from a broken heart? It's been reported that before dying, Debbie stated, "I want to be with Carrie," which to me sort of implies some sort of choice on her part in dying. We often hear about elderly folks who pass away within days or even hours after losing a spouse of several decades. Now, it's my unscientific opinion that our mental health is often overlooked on a daily basis in all aspects of our life, but especially when it comes to the mental anguish associated with the loss of a loved one. Not only can stress take a serious toll on our bodies in many ways, but depression could also cause one to stop taking care of themselves in the usual fashion. Exercise routines may be abandoned, or one might stop eating properly, causing malnourishment. This might be what people commonly refer to as giving up, sort of like somebody is throwing in the towel, and perhaps the grief is just too intense. However, it is important to note that millions and millions of people do survive the death of a loved one every year. We just don't hear those stories as often because they're not as romantic or mysterious. Death from stress-induced cardiomyopathy is very rare. I guess in the final analysis, it's really unclear whether or not a broken heart can kill us. I don't think that mental anguish or grief generally directly causes one's death, but I do certainly think it can play a role depending on the existing conditions or circumstances. So please visit the American Heart Association at www.heart.org to learn more about heart health. Thank you so much for visiting livemorenow.net.